Very, very good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to our Winemakers Table with Nederburg and the Pick and Pay Wine Club. Lovely to see all of you on. I see the numbers are ratcheting up, guests from all over South Africa. So lovely to have you all on. My name's Dan Nicol, amongst other things, the host of Dan Really Likes Wine, which you can probably work out what Dan Really Likes Wine is if you haven't watched it before. It is my weekly wine show, which is a wonderful, wonderful excuse to drink lots of great South African wine and to scour the shelves of Pick and Pay to celebrate the extraordinary South African wine that we have access to. And we have access to some brilliant South African wine this evening as we bring together not just a terrific chef, who I will introduce in a moment, but also a benchmark of South African wine. Now, if you go back about 300 years to when we were in, I think that was the 7th wave and lockdown 19, when we could still travel, when we could still go abroad. Whenever you went through a duty-free, went through an international airport, and you had a look at the wine section, which I tend to do. I'm a bit of a wine anorak. 9 times out of 10, you'll see a bottle that has this particular label on. Nederburg is such a strong South African brand name, and it's a wine we're enormously proud of, not just here, but right around the world. You bump into Nederburg, and when you're not in South Africa, you get that little warm buzz. There's a fellow countryman, and there's a great South African flag bearer. But it's more than just a great South African name. It is a great South African wine, and I'm having a bit of a Nederburg week. Last night, opened some 2015 Nederburg Ingenuity, the Italian blend that drinks just delightfully. And tonight, I'm going to be drinking, amongst others, this double barrel reserve that's got a wonderful story in terms of how the wine is made, and a wonderful winemaker producing it. And we'll meet her as well very, very shortly. Before I run you through some detail for this evening, just a story from Nederburg, a brand that I've known and loved for a long time. About 3-4 years ago, I lose track of time after all these pandemics and lockdowns, I was hosting an event with the 3 Australian master chefs, the previous ones, not the current ones. And of the 3, Gary Megan is probably the biggest wine lover, does a lot of wine, drinks a lot of wine, loves to collect wine. And I gave him a bottle of wine on the Thursday, and at the end of the festival we were doing together, he came up to me and he said, "Dan, mate, I drank the wine. That's the best bottle of wine I've had this year." And that bottle of wine was a bottle of Nederburg. It was the 2 Centuries, and it was the 2015 Cabernet Sauvignon. And here was somebody who didn't really know South African wine, blown away by a great South African bottle, and it was a bottle of Nederburg. So you've got some terrific wine to look forward to, 3 different ones. If you haven't already, I'd encourage you to open them. Just let them breathe a little bit, get some air, unless, of course, you're caravanning them. But if you aren't, open them up, let them breathe a little as red wines should, and prepare to meet 2 really, really cool people. Now, one of them is Jonathan, our resident chef at Pick and Pay, does events for us all over the country. He's got not just an extraordinary flair for food and bringing together different and sometimes unexpected flavors with remarkable success, but also he's got an ability to take something that looks quite complicated, and maybe you looked at your ingredients and thought, this is beyond me, I cannot do this. Well, if anybody is going to turn you into a master chef in just minutes, then it is Jonathan this evening. So he will be taking you through, alongside of Zinaschke Steyn, who is not just a very gifted winemaker, but somebody who's really passionate about the art of making wine. And tonight she'll talk you through what these 3 wines are, why they're so important, and how they bring the best out of food, and food brings the best out of them. And the history of Nederburg is so rich and so storied, and tonight you're going to get a wonderful slice thereof. Nederburg, being our partners, have been very generous in supplying the wine and supporting tonight. So too have the Pick and Pay Wine Club and Pick and Pay Online. So big thank you to everybody there for helping us to bring tonight together and bring all of us together online for what is a really cool night of food and wine. There are some prizes. Now, if you look on the picture on the screen at the top there, there's one bottle looks a little larger than the others. That is a Magnum, a full 1.5 litres of Nederberg Cabernet Sauvignon. And in the spirit of generosity of this evening, we have 5 of those to give away. And it's very simple. Over the course of the evening, as you're making your food or using the fire extinguisher or however your evening pans out, please take some photos and please post them to your preferred social media space, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or if we've got guests from Peter Maritzburg, if you are faxing us through, we'll handle whatever comes to us. But use two hashtags, very simply, hashtag PNP Wine Club and hashtag Nederburg. And at the end of the evening, when I come back to join you, we will get 5 of you who've posted really cool pictures, showcased what you're doing this evening, and we will be sending you a magnum of that wonderful Cabernet Sauvignon from Nederburg. It's just one of the benefits tonight. There are several others. Jonathan will remind you of them. I would ask you, if you haven't already, to ensure that you've used the zoom function in the top right-hand corner to pin the view and make sure that you have the screen. We've muted all of you, but please do keep your cameras on. We'd like to see how your food is going and how your evenings are unfolding. I see a lot of you have brought together a group of people and celebrating there. So great to see too Zinaschke joining us. So please say a very, very warm welcome to Chef Jonathan and to Zinaschke Steyn, our winemaker from Nederburg. I will see you a little later. Right now, I've got a bottle of wine to pour and some great food to prepare. Enjoy.
All right, thank you very much, Dan. Lovely to see you on the other side there, and welcome everybody to a special Nederburg Pick and Pay Winemakers Table. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm with Zinaschke, and we are going to have an incredible evening. We've got 3 beautiful wines. We're going to be making 3 incredible little canapes. I'm going to teach you how to become a little home master chef. You're going to have a fantastic evening, pairing some wine, tasting a little bit, doing a little bit in the kitchen. It's all going to come together beautifully. So I just want to make sure that everybody has got all their boxes. They have been delivered. Thank you very much to Pick and Pay Online for doing so. Everyone would have received their boxes of their 3 wines, as well as also their little boxes of canapes. So before we start, I'd love everybody to obviously to take their box, take out all the little boxes inside, unpack all of those little dishes if you want, get it all ready. And while you're doing that, make sure that you've got a pan ready for our second little canapé. And while you're all getting ready and making yourself a home in the kitchen, Zinaschke, very, very welcome, and thank you so much for being here. And would you like to explain a little bit more about the 3 wines and a little bit more about Nederburg?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm really looking forward to the evening and sharing some nice wines and food with you guys.
Yeah.
So I usually like to start off with just a little bit of fun facts on Nederburg. So for those of you who didn't know, the farm was founded in 1791 when Philippus Wolfhard acquired the 50 hectares of land for a mere 5,600 guilders. So he established some vineyards, and since then it's about 251 years, and we've been making wines ever since on the farm.
Incredible.
So along this journey, we actually had quite a few legends that played a part in paving this legacy that is Nederburg today. But currently, our cellar team consists of a cellar master, Samuel Viljoen, with Peter Baron heading up the white wines, along with his white wine assistant winemaker, myself heading up the reds with an assistant red wine maker. And then we have a team of 25 very dedicated, very passionate, very talented cellar workers who are absolutely committed to delivering the absolute best quality in each bottle that gets to the consumer. So in the 4 years that I've been working with the company, when I've conducted tastings, I've actually realized that a lot of people seem to associate Nederburg with high volumes, which is in essence correct, because our sophisticated cellar harvests about 10,000 tons of grapes per year.
And you've just finished off on a big harvest now, haven't you?
Yes, literally Tuesday evening.
Wow.
So, but what a lot of people actually don't know is that Nederburg actually creates 8 different ranges of wines. So we literally cater for every palate out there. From our private bin 2 centuries range, which Dan has mentioned in the introduction, for the ultimate wine connoisseur, super premium wines, very minute volumes, right down to our classic range, which is more elegant, fruit-driven, easy drinking style of wines.
Yes.
So I want to encourage all our participants to either hop onto our website to go and have a look if you're not aware of all these wines, or if you are in Cape Town area, to pop by on the farm and experience this for yourself.
Yeah.
But for tonight, I'm very excited to be sharing at least wines out of 3 of these ranges with you guys as we go along on our pairing journey.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm also very excited, and also it's a very good point that it's amazing that we're able to taste 3 different wines from 3 different ranges, and obviously all of them are on the red. You are the winemaker of the red winemaker, and it's going to be very interesting to kind of see the different nuances of the different wines and the different ranges. So it's going to be very, very interesting, and I can't wait to get started.
Yes, me neither. Let's jump in.
Great stuff. So I think that obviously where we're going to start, we really want to make sure that you guys are got everything ready in the kitchen. As I mentioned, it's very, very important when you are going to become a master chef. It is very important to make sure that you have all of your ingredients ready to go. We've got 3 incredible canapés for you today. We've tasted the wines, we've had a look and seen what notes really work well, and we've paired it to our best ability. But you must also understand when it comes to wine pairing that there really aren't that many rules. It is all about your taste. It's all about where you're standing. It's about what you're feeling. So we encourage you to try it out yourself as well. If it works for you, fantastic. If it doesn't, you can change things up. But it really is quite interesting when I'll talk to Zinaschke about how we sort of paired each of those canapés. Right. So if we are ready, we are going to start off with the first wine, which is the Niederberg Baron, which is basically a storehorse.
We don't think to see us.
No. How many years?
How are you?
The first one was launched in 1973.
1973. So what, we're coming up to 50 years?
Yes, we will be having the 50-year celebration next year.
Incredible. That's amazing. Really, really good. So yeah, what we're going to do is, I think with the first one, with the Niederberg Baron, we're going to be starting with our first canapé, which is our beef fillet. It's encrusted in a black pepper, a little bit of sesame and nut crumble. It's got a beautiful spiced mayo and a little bit of shaved radish. So you'll find your box in front of you, and that is the first one that we're going to be doing. So what I want you to do is I want you to take all the little packets out and take out your little bit of beef. You've got your nut crumble, which is in a little packet like this. You've got a little bit of a radish, a skewer, and you've got this beautiful spiced mayo. So with the Niederberg Baron, we were talking earlier, and apparently the volume that you make is something quite astounding. How many liters of Niederberg Baron is made per year, or is even drunk per year, which is more important?
Yes, so I recently blended the 2021 vintage, which will be going into the market quite soon, and that was 1.7 million liters. And I think it's safe to say that that is what is drunk per year, because the changeover was quite on the dot, 1 year.
So that's a lot of Baron that's been drunk. Apparently, another fun fact is that apparently a bottle of Niederberg Baron is apparently opened every
15 seconds.
Every 15 seconds in South Africa, a bottle of Niederberg Baron is opened.
It's estimated.
Estimated, but still, that is quite concerning. So I think we're on the 15 seconds. We have opened up our bottle. So please open up your bottle, pour yourself a glass. We'd love to sort of get you guys to have a look at the color, have a look, give it a good smell. And in terms of sort of opening wines and letting them breathe, obviously the Niederberg Baron really lends itself up to basically opening it up, and you don't have to let it breathe too much because it's really got quite a nice, soft, mellow mouthfeel already. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. It's good to go. Good
to go. Amazing. Well, if you can smell the nose, pour it in, give it a little bit of swirl around. What are we getting there?
I'm definitely picking up some blueberry notes.
Yeah?
That slight peppery notes on the nose as well. It's so like I have to overindulge.
Good, overindulge, exactly. So it's really got a really nice sort of mouthfeel. It's quite nice and like smooth and easy to drink. It's a fantastic wine.
Nice juicy fruits on the palate.
Juicy fruits on the palate, fantastic. Cool, so now we're going to start a little bit with our canapés. As I said, you guys have taken out all of your little beef cubes. What I've done now is we've also got a little bit of our spiced mayo. Very, very simple. It's mayonnaise, and we've added a few different spices. We've gone with a little bit of cumin, a little bit of coriander, and a small amount of paprika as well. And that we did because we find that obviously the Baronne, what is the mix between the blend of Baronne? What is the two different varietals that you use?
Yes, so it's basically a blend of Cab and Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz. The 2020 vintage is made up of about 44% Cab, 42% Shiraz, and 14% other cultivars.
Perfect. So we were looking at it, we tasted it. There was certainly quite a nice sort of spicy notes that came through from the Shiraz. And so we thought that we would add a little bit of the spiced Mayo just to kind of bring that out a bit as well. So if you do have a little bit of a bowl like this, that would help. And what we're going to do is we're going to place the beef cube into a bowl and we're going to cover it with a little bit of the spiced Mayo. So you don't have to use all of it, but basically what you're going to be doing is you're just going to cover that around it. I've just placed it like that. And if you do have a little spoon, you can just coat the beef cube completely and just toss it around in that Mayo, coating it on all four sides of the cube, because what this is going to do, it's going to become a little bit of a glue for our nut crumble. So toss it around in that. There we go. Make sure that it's covered on all sides. There we go. If you want to add a little bit more, please feel free to do so. There we go. I'm just going to add a small amount more. Toss it around so it's all nicely coated. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it in a little bit of this nut crumble. Very, very simple as well. We're using any nuts that you'd like to use. You can use peanuts, you can use macadamia nuts, you can use almonds, you can use cashews. We like cashews, works quite well. It's got a few little sesame seeds, a little bit of salt, just to bring that out a little bit as well. So I'm going to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, put it into a new little bowl if you want to. If you don't have another bowl, it's absolutely fine. You can just throw it in there as well. But I'm going to do it in a clean little bowl, and I'm going to basically throw all of this nut crumble around it. You can see there's some almonds in there, and I'm just going to coat it very nicely and like that. As you see, it's nicely coated. Toss it around so it's completely covered. There we go. Doesn't have to be completely perfect, but you'll see that it's all nicely coated with that. And I'm just going to place that onto my board in the front, my little display board, which you've got all in your boxes as well. So you've got a nicely coated little piece of beef. And while you guys are doing that, we can just chat a little bit sort of about the pairing and why we've also decided to kind of go with something quite meaty. Obviously, the Baronne is a very versatile wine. It pairs with a lot of different things, but a good steak is probably one of its best friends.
Yes, like you said, this wine is very, very versatile. This is for me a very good after-work drink, just to enjoy on its own. But my ultimate favorite is on a Saturday night next to the braai fire with a nice lamb chop going there.
Throw a little chop on the braai with a bottle of Baronne.
Yes.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Cool. So now, guys, I hope that you've caught up a little bit. And as you see, on the display board, I've just placed my little piece of beef cube, and it's got its little nut crumble encrusted on it. I haven't used all of my spiced Mayo, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a small little dollop of this to the top. There we go. Tiny little dollop over there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get our radish. So you'll see that there is a little radish inside your bags. And what I want you to do is we're going to make a shaved little piece of radish. And the reason why we've gone with this as well is because radish has got quite a nice little peppery notes to it as well. And we find also with the Baronne, there's a few pepper notes that you're going to get to it. So what we want you to do is take your little radish and make a thin sliver of it. Take your knife and just cut down the side, making sure that you've got a nice round little discs of the radish. And you don't need too many of them. You just need to have one for your little canapé. But right like that is 3-4 little discs like that. And that's exactly it. So guys, I hope that you are making sure that your cameras are on, and please do remember to take photos of your dishes as you're going along. We'd love to see what you can do. And also you stand a chance of winning one of those 5 bottles or even magnums of the Cabernet Sauvignon. So use those hashtags P&P Wine Club and P&P Niederberg. All right. So once we've done that, we've got our little slice. we're going to place that slice on top of our little canapé, and we're going to place a little skewer inside it there. Simple as, but it looks beautiful. Very, very simple. And exactly, if you want to have a veggie option, you don't have to use beef. Often what we do is we actually get a piece of aubergine.
Oh, that was what I was thinking.
Is that what you were thinking, hey? Good. We're on the same wavelength. Take a piece of aubergine. It's nice to marinate that piece of aubergine in something. You can do a little bit of a soy glaze. You can do a little bit of teriyaki, which is also quite nice. And then either pop that into a pan, or you can roast that. You can just pop that into the oven, or even, you know what I've been doing quite a lot is sticking into the air fryer. Works well.
But that's a trend these days, the air fryers.
Massive.
So.
If you've got kids, it's the way to go. All right, cool. So guys, once you've done that, or hopefully you have, please do take photos. And now we're going to do a little bit of the pairing, the tasting, which is the real fun part. So take your glass, have a good look at the beautiful color. It's a really, really nice, vibrant, fruity red.
Mm-hmm. Ruby red, yes.
Ruby red.
Ruby.
There we go. Have a good smell. Let the aromas come in, and take a good, nice sip of it. Let it go around your mouth, and then take your canapé, pop it in your mouth, and give it a chew, and see how those flavors marry together. You'll see with the beef as well. The beef has got a slight, obviously, saltiness to it. We've cured it. So very simple. What a cure is you basically putting salt and your sugar over the meat with a little bit of black pepper. You can add any spices you want to, and basically what happens is that you start drawing out a little bit of that moisture and almost making a very, very wet biltong.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's time for you to try.
That would be great.
There we go. That is for you.
Thank you.
And how fun does that look? And really, really easy. If you guys are wanting to do any sort of pairings at home, any sort of entertaining, this is a fantastic little recipe. As you said, you can certainly substitute the meat for any sort of vegetarian option, or even if you want to do a chicken cube, or if you want to do a fish, maybe a salmon would work really well as well. Do I get a thumbs up? We got some thumbs up. Amazing. Really, really good. Give it a good sip. Let those flavors kind of marry. As I said, we've got the nice spice, which is coming from the spice Mayo, which works really nicely with the Shiraz, a little bit more of a spicy varietal. And then obviously the Cab Sav, which is coming more of the fruity, more sort of bolder. But it's very, 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 very easy drinking and really, really smooth on the palate.
This works quite nicely.
Good.
While I was chewing, I picked up a lot of that salt, that cured meat. Definitely the nut crumble coming through very subtly there.
Yes.
And if you're chewing while you're smelling the wine, you actually pick up a lot more fruit notes rather than spice.
Yes.
And I actually thought that the spicy notes would bring out the sweet fruits in the wine as well, and that actually came through perfectly.
Really?
On the pairing, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it as well. As mentioned, all of the ingredients are available at Pick n Pay, so you can recreate these. If you do have any questions, please drop any questions that you have in the comment box below. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Keep the questions coming. It would be, there we go, another good question. And I love it when there's this nice interaction. Even though we are in Cape Town, some of you are in Johannesburg, let's keep the conversation flowing. It's really, really nice to see what you guys are doing. We have a question of, please, can you explain a little bit about how you cure meat? So very, very simple. A cure is generally 50% sugar, 50% salt. I like to take it a little bit further down on the salt, so it's not too salty. And then you can start adding any aromatics or any spices that you want to. So if you want to make a cure which is quite fresh, you can add a little bit of lemon zest. You can add a little bit of fresh herbs. If you want to make it a little bit more sort of spicy or a little bit more spicy, you can add some things like coriander, works really well. Cumin works very well. You can add a little bit of black pepper as well. So you'd roll your meat into it. And I would say if you are using, say, a fillet, you would roll it up, keep that covered in the fridge. I would say probably for a wet cure, I would say probably about 48 hours. Then you wash off all of that cure and you can leave it in the fridge. If you want to dry out the outside at all, you can leave it out in the fridge uncovered. But basically what that is, it's also preserving the meat. So you'll be able to eat that for days on end. Just slice it nice and thinly. It's like basically the first round of making biltong. Excellent. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, perfect. Now it's also really interesting also to me moving on to another one of the Niederberg's collection. Which wine are we going to be tasting next?
Okay, so for the second round, I've brought along the Double Barrel Reserve. So this is actually a new product that we launched last year, 2020 vintage. And this is a Bordeaux style blend.
Okay.
So it's Cabernet Sauvignon led, 50% Cab, 19% Cabernet Franc, 19% Merlot, 7% Petit Verdot, and 5% Malbec. So what makes this wine actually quite special is that it was matured on French oak for about 12 months, but the Merlot portion of this blend was matured in French oak barrels for 9 months. And then we did a careful selection of specific barrels to go into the blend, which was then racked out of the barrel, blended together, and then put back into the barrel for a further 3 months of maturation. Wow. And that's just to add to some of the fullness and the richness of the final blend at the end of the day.
And so that's where the name comes from, Double Barrel.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. I mean, we were chatting a little bit about it earlier, and from a chef perspective, we get to create dishes, but I've always found it so interesting talking to winemakers because it really is such an art when it comes to blending wines. And as you were mentioning here, I mean, how many different varietals are in this Double Barrel?
So that's 5 different.
5 different. And so that you would sit basically with all these different varietals and you'd taste one and you would say, this has got this characteristic, but we might need to use this one to balance it out. And it really is almost like a little jigsaw puzzle, putting together all these different varietals to make this wine that is so well balanced and beautiful to drink.
Yeah, I think apart from harvest, the blending of the wines is the second most fun part of winemaking.
You think that the harvest is the best part?
Yes.
Really, it's the hardest part.
Rush, long hours, tired, grapes coming in, equipment breaking, dealing with people issues, all that stuff. But it's a lot of fun. It's fast paced and it's hard for 3 months of the year, but a lot of fun. And then after that comes the blending part. Yeah. And this is quite fun. Having seen what you have worked on in the beginning of the year or for the past year, wines that have been maturing on oak, and seeing the final products coming together, tasting those different components, making the selections, literally, like you say, tasting each cultivar, deciding where do you start. So this was something new. Where do we start? What do we want to do? We have these cultivars. Do we want to go Bordeaux style blend? Do we want to do a Cab Merlot? And yeah, just playing around with the different cultivars, different percentages, and doing many bench blends, and ultimately deciding on the best blend at the end of the day.
Well,
and this is quite a team effort. Like I said earlier, we have the cellar master, myself, and then we also have other people within the company, like the head of viticulture and winemaking coming in to help us with doing the final selections and deciding on the blends, the best blend at the end of the day to put into the bottle.
No, I can't wait to taste that. It's really good. And so we are going to be pouring the next wine also. So guys, you can open your bottle. This wine also, I'm sure that you probably have opened all 3 of them already. It probably does need a little bit more of a time to kind of breathe and stuff, this one, huh?
Yes.
So we've also got a question. Thank you very much for keeping the questions coming. What style of glass is best to serve which wine in? And that's definitely not a question for me. That's definitely a question for you. And it's very interesting to hear different people's opinions. A lot of the time people say it doesn't really matter, but sometimes it does matter.
It does matter.
Good. Well, I'd love to listen to your opinion on this. What do you think?
Well, definitely for red wines, you would like something with a bigger bottom.
Yes.
To open up those flavors and more tulip style to the top. Yeah. To guide the flavors up to your nose. Obviously, white wines, maybe smaller glasses, but for me personally, I like a thin-rimmed glass and crystal glasses as well.
Me too.
And then also Riedel has a whole range of wine glasses created specifically for each cultivar, and they claim that those glasses enhance specific characteristics per cultivar as well. Yes.
That's interesting. Great. So guys, take a good, put that up to your nose, start getting those aromas. And while you're doing that, we're going to start preparing our second of our canapes. One of my favorites, what we're going to be doing is going to be a toasted naan with a little bit of garlic butter. It's going to have some chorizo, a little bit of smoky chorizo, some caramelized onion, a little bit of aioli, and then to top it off, we've got some crispy onions. So if you can get all of those ingredients ready, as mentioned, we are going to be doing a little bit of toasting. So if you do have a pan ready, it's time to get that hot. If you want to put that on, just to get to about a medium heat, I would say. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be toasting these great little wraps from Pick n Pay. They work perfectly as a little naan. I would probably get your pan, I would say, to like a medium heat. And while we're doing that, let's toss in a little bit of our garlic butter into the pan. And just let that melt and get to a heat. Make sure that it doesn't get too hot. We don't want it to be smoking, but also we don't want it to just be just a little bit of melted. We want to get some color on there. So get your pans ready, get that butter in, get your little naan ready. And while we do that, I think it's time for a little bit of a sip of the double barrel. Quite different actually in here. It is, but also very, very fruit driven. A lot of fresh dark berries.
Yes. So our philosophy is always to respect the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
It should be at the forefront of all of the wines. And it's actually quite interesting for me, like you mentioned at the beginning of the evening, there's such a lot of things that influence how we taste and perceive wine.
Yes.
So for instance, tonight I'm picking up a lot of almost leathery notes.
Sure.
And olive.
All right, yes.
Along with some black cherry.
Yes.
Ooh, that garlic is smelling nice.
It is. We've got the garlic naan in here. The butter is melted a little bit. And that is going to make sure that it doesn't stick on the bottom. So hopefully everybody's, oh, that's looking beautiful,
Ooh.
guys. Look at that. There we go. Whoop, take it down a little bit so you can see. There we go. It's toasted nicely in the pan. Make sure that your pan isn't too hot. But what we want is we want to get that really nice sort of golden, crispy color on the outside. And these little wraps work so perfectly well. You'll find them in the Pick n Pays, all Pick n Pay. Just also obviously make sure that you guys give it a little bit of a toast if you want to get the nice sort of caramelized brown toastiness on it. And you can do 1 or 2 or 3 if you'd like to. You do have 2 in your pots, in your bags as well. So I'm just going to take that off. Really nice sort of color onto it. Really nice aroma. And I'm just going to place that onto the side. Very, very simple. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to sort of catch up. And while we do that, I'm just going to explain to you what the next steps are going to be. So inside our boxes, we've got chorizo. Beautiful chorizo, found in Pick n Pay. It is pork. It's got some paprika. It's got a little bit of garlic, a little bit of thyme, and it's kind of a cured meat as well. So it's hung up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cube this. We're going to make it into some small cubes because we're going to place this on top of our little toasted naan. So cut it into 3 little rounds like that. And then if you want to, there's no real rules. If you want to do little rounds, you can. I'm going to do some squares. There we go. Pop that to the side. And again, make some little squares. As I said, if you want to do some circles, you want to do some slivers, absolutely no problem. You can do that. I'm sure hopefully you guys are spending a good evening ready before the weekend tomorrow, so you've got no excuse to finish every single one of these bottles. And I'll let you guys catch up there. Make sure that you chop up your chorizo, you're toasting your naan, getting it really well. And yeah, I think that the wine is going to lend itself particularly well to this dish for a number of reasons. Obviously, we've got a little bit of the smokiness of the chorizo that comes through in the paprika.
Yeah, and I think that in itself will bring out some nice sweet notes on the palate as well.
Oh, right, yes. And there is a really nice sweetness to it as well. And that's also why we decided to go with one of the components of the dish, which is the caramelized onions. It'll bring out, because it's always nice to have sort of contrasts when you're making canapes or making dishes. So when we made this, you always need to think about different contrasts and flavors, but also different contrasts and textures. And as you see, when we start building this dish, you'll see that there are those really wonderful contrasts and flavors as well as textures. All right, so If you guys want to come in here and just have a look at my garlic naan over there, it's got some nice toasted little flavors on it. And as I said, I've just cubed up a few pieces of the chorizo, which I'm just going to lay very slowly. Doesn't matter how you put it on, just a few all over the show. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding those components, those different items which are going to start making the dish really, really sort of come together. We've got caramelized onion, we've got a little bit of aioli, which is pretty much a fancy word for mayonnaise, but basically an aioli is literally a mayonnaise that you've added a little bit of roasted garlic to. Just gives it a little bit more body. All right, so take your little bag of caramelized onions. Very, very simple. You get onions, you slice them up very thinly, you put them into a pan, you let that cook down with a little bit of brown sugar. Sometimes you can add a little bit of balsamic vinegar if you want to as well. So what we'll do is we'll just take that bag and we're going to put little dollops around the dish. There we go. Just let it sit on top if you want to, on the side. Doesn't have to be completely fancy, doesn't need to be really, there we go. Just anywhere you want to, and that certainly is going to give it a nice sweetness to it as well. Once you've done that, we're going to start now. We've looked at something which is quite smoky, something which is quite sweet, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add a creamy element to it as well. So this is where the aioli comes in. Beautiful creamy sort of element, which I always love to add sometimes these creamy elements to wine, because sometimes you have a little bit of sort of some tannins or a little bit of acidity or a little bit of sharpness or whatever it might be. And I always love to have a creaminess to kind of cut through that as well. Right, so as we're going along, we are now adding a small little dollop of the aioli in different places of the dish. Make sure that you've got it in all different corners, because you want to have one mouthful that incorporates all of that into it as well. All right, so that's starting to come together quite nicely. And then, if you guys have caught up a little bit, I'll let you just do that. And while we're doing that, one last little sort of note on the wine. I think that it's very interesting that this is really, it's a Bordeaux kind of driven wine. It's all of the different varietals that come really from the Bordeaux regions. Is that right?
That's correct, yes. So like I said earlier, once we started off with what are we going to do, what concept do we want to follow, is we actually played around with a lot of different blends, different components. And ultimately, obviously, one of the blends was a Bordeaux style red. And like I said, this came out tops out of everything we played around with.
It's delicious. It really is. It's got a very, very, very smooth finish. It's got still quite a lot of sort of structure, and it's got still quite a bit of boldness to it. And what cultivar do you think is that the one that speaks to that?
I think that's definitely the Cabernet Sauvignon,
Cabernet Sauvignon
in the lead.
Yeah.
And also 19% Cabernet Franc.
Sure.
Backing it up as well.
Yes.
And that's 7% of Petit Verdot. So the Merlot and the Malbec is there for the fruit component.
Sure. Okay. Good. All right, guys. So hopefully that you've caught up now. I'm just going to bring the camera in for the final little coup de grace of flavor here. What we've got are these beautiful little crispy onions. Give that a taste, just on its own. I absolutely love these. These are basically little dried onions that you dry out into in the oven, and basically you can add a few little spices to it. We've added a bit of paprika, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. Really, really beautiful. Nice. And it just gives the dish a really nice crunch. So I'm just going to top that little naan bread with the chorizo, a little bit of aioli, and some beautiful caramelized onions with these crispy onions. And this also would be really, really good if you didn't eat meat. It would be really, really good if you wanted to change it up, which is no problem. Same kind of thing. I think aubergine would work really well. Also, which does work extremely well, which we've done in the past, is we've actually used cauliflower, one of the most versatile vegetables around, and we've pickled it. So what you do is you take off all the little florets of the cauliflower, and you put it into a little pan with a small amount of vinegar, small amount of sugar, a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of curry powder as well, and you just bring that to a boil, you take it off, you cool it, and then you can keep that in a jar. And that would work perfectly with this, absolutely perfectly. It'll have a little bit of sweetness, have a little bit of curry, a little bit of kind of give a little bit of spice, and it would work really well. So I think that's with aubergine, a little bit of cauliflower. There's no reason why you couldn't do maybe some lentils if you wanted to. If you're from the lentil curtain, not that side.
Not a fan of lentils.
Not a fan of
myself,
lentils.
no.
All right, but you will absolutely love this, guys. So have a look at that. This is the final plate. We've got that in. So this is the garlic naan, which has been toasted off in the pan. I'm just going to turn it up so you can see it. Beautiful little dollops of the garlic aioli, a little bit of caramelized onions, and obviously that beautiful smoked chorizo. Everything available at Pick and Pay. So you can go down to your store, you can go and pick this all up, and you can try this all at home. So this is for you to try, and for you guys at home as well.
Thank you.
There we go. Make sure, as we said, when you're doing your pairings, have a good sip of the wine, let that coat your mouth, take a good handful or a good mouthful of the canapé, let all the flavors come together, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be blown away by this. This is probably one of my favorites. It'll work really, really well.
Bon
Cheers. Bon appetit. All right, good stuff. Guys, we do want to see some pictures coming through as well. So if you do have your cameras on, leave them on, and also take some photos. Please remember to use the hashtag PNP Wine Club and hashtag Nederburg, because you can stand a chance of winning 5 of those incredible magnums of the Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a magnum is a double bottle, hey?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about it earlier, and we were trying to find out what the word is for the biggest bottle, and maybe this can also be a question that has been posed to you guys. What is the biggest bottle, and how many liters is it, and what is it called? If you do have the answer, maybe you also could be one of those 5 lucky winners. First person to write in the comment, what is the largest bottle that is available and how many liters is it? All right. How do you find that pairing? So you're thinking about it, rolling it around in your mouth.
For me, this is actually all the tastes on here work together perfectly.
Great.
Let me just have another sip of wine.
That's really good. I hope that you guys are enjoying it as well. We do have a lot more coming up as well. We've got our next canapé, which is going to be our sweeter option as we move on to the final dish and the final wine for this evening. It's quite nice when you're doing a pairing sometimes to end up with something sweet, but it's certainly, as we said, there are no rules. If you want to be changing it up, you want to do something sweet with this wine, this would work very well with a dessert as well.
Yes. No, this works for me quite well together as well. The wine itself is quite bold,
yes,
and structure, so this pairing turns it down just a little bit, makes it almost more accessible.
Yes,
so
absolutely. This is a fantastic wine, and it's very interesting to kind of go from one of the ranges to the other. And so you said that this is a new one that you've launched.
Yes, literally last year. So if we go through the ranges, for instance, the Baronne will be at the bottom, then the Winemasters,
yes,
and above that will be the double barrel reserve.
Okay, all right, perfect, lovely. I really did enjoy that one. I'm very interested to try the next one, which is going to be more of our dessert style. But as mentioned, we really can do anything that we wanted to, and we actually don't even need this board because we're going to be doing the last one, which is going to be our double chocolate. Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready. I've been waiting the whole evening for that.
Good. All right, guys, we've basically got a Black Forest cake pop, and that is got dark chocolate, white ganache, as well as a little bit of cherry gel and some berry dust. And the reason why we went for this is that obviously, you know, Black Forest, it's normally got some of those dark chocolates and berry notes in it as well. It's got some dark chocolate, some little bit of white ganache, a little bit of berry gel, and then we've ended it up with a little bit of berry dust. Very, very simple as well. When I talked about the berry dust, I'll tell you exactly how to make it. But importantly, it's all about the wine. So pour yourself a glass, and same thing, let it breathe a little bit. Does this one need to breathe a little bit more?
Maybe a little bit.
Little
I would
bit?
decant it for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
For serving.
And so if you opened a bottle of wine and you just literally took the cork off, is that airing a bottle of wine?
Yes, it's breathing through the neck.
but I've heard that actually you really need to take it out of the bottle.
Yes.
You need,
Obviously, the decanter is designed in such a way so that your, what do you call it, your
the surface area.
Yes, the surface area is bigger to be exposed to the air.
So even if you put it into a glass and you swirl it around, that's giving it enough air. This is very, 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 very palatable. I love this.
Yes, so if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys are some of the first people in South Africa to be tasting the 2020 vintage.
This is incredible.
So yeah, I'm actually quite excited about this. This was one of the first blends that I put together since I stepped into the winemaker role. And this wine is showing really, really beautifully.
This is incredible. So Winemakers Cabernet Sauvignon, what is it composed of?
So this is about 89% Cabernet Sauvignon,
Okay.
with a little bit of Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot.
Okay, so really very much more on the, obviously on the Cabernet Sauvignon driven. And what sort of characteristics generally do you get from a Cabernet Sauvignon?
Yeah, it depends on what area the grapes are sourced from.
Okay.
But in this one specifically tonight, I'm picking up a lot of red hetero fruits.
Yes. Yes, so things like, what sort of fruits are you talking?
Red berries,
Red
even a little
berries.
bit of blackberry,
Yeah,
some tobacco notes coming
yes,
through.
definitely.
And on the palate, this is just drinking very nicely now.
Really, really
Tannins
smooth.
are so
yeah.
smooth.
Completely. Or I found every single one of these being very, very, very smooth and very, very palatable, very easy drinking. And I think that that's really a great characteristic also of Niederberg, and especially when we were talking back about the Niederberg Baron. You know, if you are going to get into red wines, and sometimes people are a little bit hesitant about getting into red wines, but if we look at the Baron, really also that is a perfect, you know, entry into red wines. It's very, very smooth. It's very palatable. Doesn't have a huge amount of tannins. It's not too strong. It's not too bold. And then you can almost work your way through the Niederberg range.
Yes.
And go from one to the next and experience how, you know, and the differences. So it's incredible that you could actually take the journey of red wine all the way through with Niederberg.
Yes. So what makes this interesting, like I mentioned earlier, we are a volume producer. So we do have producers that are contracted specifically for specific brands or
Yes.
specific products within our ranges.
Yes.
So for this Winemasters Cab specifically, the grapes were sourced actually from all over the Western Cape. So
Okay.
these grapes basically came from Groene Kloof, Philadelphia, Stellenbosch area, Paul. This is also quite a big blend. It's about 900,000 liters.
Wow.
So yes, different areas within the Western Cape, different microclimates and growing conditions,
Yes.
all coming together to make the perfect blend.
Wine of origin, Western
Western
Cape.
Cape.
Got you. Perfect. All right, guys, it's time to get back into the kitchen and for us to have our final canapé, which is a really exciting one and quite a fun one. We've got a little, almost like a little bit of a cake pop. And so as mentioned, what this is this is a black Ferrous cake pop. Very, very simple how to do it at home. Get a little stick like this. And what we've done is we've gone to Pick n Pay and we found a really good quality chocolate muffin. And you take it and you crumble it a little part. You add a little bit of some berry jam into it. That gives it its nice sort of blackberry notes. You roll it up into a ball and you stick a stick into it. All right, simple as that.
Ooh.
All right, and then you'll find this cute little piece of Oasis, which is basically the thing that you would find in your plants. And we've just used this as a block for you to position your cake pop into. So take it out of the container, pop it into there, stand it upright, and now it's time to decorate, and now it's time to start adding some nice flavors as well. So inside your box, you'll find a few little piping bags. We've got 3 piping bags in here, one with a dark chocolate, one with a white chocolate, and another one with a berry gel. Okay, you can get as creative as you want to. If you now want to do some zigzags over it, you can do some zigzags. If you want to do some dollops, you can do some dollops. If you want some dots, whatever you'd like. But I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start off probably with a little bit of the white ganache. And when I say ganache, literally all we're doing is we're taking white chocolate, we're melting it down with a little bit of cream to kind of give it a little bit of a lighter pouring. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down. Are you ready? Because I'm not the best at this. There's other people who are better. I'm just going to drizzle this over the top into some nice little lines. Hold it up high. There we go. Left, right, left, right, left, right. There we go. Just drizzle it over. I must turn it around because my other side looks better than this side. There we go. There we go. Turn it up. There we go. Little drizzle, my nizzle. Then we've got some of the dark chocolate, which we can either do a little bit of a drizzle or we can do some dots. We can do a little bit of a, I think I'm going to do a few little dots on the side. There we go. One there, one there, and one there. There we go. And then the third little piping bag, if you want, is the berry gel. Very, very simple as well. All you need to do is go to Pick n Pay and buy some frozen berries, pop that into a pot, a little bit of sugar, squeeze of lemon juice, and then you just basically bring that to a boil and you just blend it up to make like a little bit of a thin jam basically. And this also is going to bring out those really big berry notes in this wine. So this, I'm going to do a little bit of a drizzle as well, left and right, over it, over the top. There we go. So we've got some beautiful white ganache, some dark chocolate ganache, a little bit of this berry. And to finally top it off, you'll find a small little sachet over here. And these are literally dehydrated strawberries that you've put into the oven. So if you take strawberries, just get a punnet of strawberries from Pick n Pay, slice it thinly, put it onto a drying rack into your oven at about 60 to 80 degrees for, I would say, about 2 hours. So it's certainly not going to cook them. It's just going to dry them out. Pop that into a food processor, blitz it up, and you end up with this beautiful strawberry dust, which you can put onto anything from ice cream to anything. So that we're going to basically top that off with a small little bit of that dust on top. And that is looking beautiful. I can guarantee you that's going to taste absolutely amazing. I've messed all over my block. There we are. But that's all right. And down the side. Most problem. Hopefully your guys is looking beautiful as well. Please make sure that you take some photos. We really love to see what you're doing. Please use the hashtag. This bottle over here, this 1.5 liter Magnum bottle could be yours as well. So let's have a taste of the wine. Let's have a little swirl around. Put that into your mouth. Just let it coat your mouth. And what are we picking up here? We're definitely picking up lots of berries as well, and lots of red fruit, but very, very, very smooth.
Yeah, the tannin structure is very, very fine. Like I say, this is drinking excellently right now.
This really is. I'm very, very impressed with this. I really do enjoy it. So guys, hopefully you have also caught up a little bit as well, and you have made your beautiful little cake pop. We'd love to see some photos. This is quite an Instagrammable little dish here as well. Please do take some pics. And while we do that, I'm going to hand this over to Zinaschke, who's going to taste this and tell us what she thinks about our little Black Forest cake pop, a little bit of white ganache, dark chocolate, berry gel, and a little bit of the strawberry dust as well. So yeah, as I said, very, very simple for you guys to do at home. And it really is important that you try new things. And you know, when we're talking about the different wines and how to get into red wine and making your way through the ranges of Nederburg, Pick n Pay Wine Club really has made it so accessible for everybody to be able to do this and just to explore new wines. Every single week or every single month there is new different wines that come onto special, and as a wine club member you have such great benefits. You know, you get your free delivery with 6 boxes, you have access to all of the specials every single month, and it's fantastic for them to really sort of open up the wine to everybody and make it very, very accessible. Just to try things out. I mean, that's the most important. When it comes to food pairing, comes to trying out wine, just experiment. Go to Pick n Pay, buy a whole bunch of wine, do a little tasting with your friends and family, and see what you like. How did you find that?
I do that every Sunday. What are you on about? Mostly I pair
The sweetness in this ups the acidity in the wine a little bit.
Yeah.
But it works quite well.
Good. I'm glad.
I
I'm
need to
glad.
finish that.
I'm glad, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed that as well. Really do. And it's just, as I said, when it comes to wine pairing, there aren't really much rules, are there?
No,
Certainly,
and it's
there's
like
things
you
that
say, people should go out and explore, play around, see what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's actually quite, you can get surprised with things that you think might not have worked well together.
Yeah.
Mix and match, play around and see what comes out. I hope you guys have some of the wines left and maybe try and pair them with other dishes tomorrow, or have them with
If
the
you're
rye.
lucky, if they have anything left. It is a public holiday
That's-
tomorrow, and I'm sure that people are going to have a really good fun night, but it is a very good point. And how long do you think that we could keep these wines? I mean, if you put the cork back in, how long would they keep outside of the fridge? Or would you put a red wine into a fridge to keep it longer?
Yeah, I do that at home.
Yeah?
And then I make sure that I finish the bottle within 3 days.
Within 3 days, if it's inside the fridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also when it's quite hot, I like to chill my red wine.
Yes.
So put it into the fridge for about 2 hours before enjoying.
Yes. And so, and then would you take it out a little bit before? Would you drink it cold?
No, just a little bit, 15 minutes before.
15 minutes before. Yeah, certainly in
that's also-
summertime, you would want to normally drink a little bit of some red wine on a hot day. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of chilled red wine. Amazing. Well, thank you very much. I mean, I must say we've had a very good pairings and some really, really good insight from you. And I just want to thank everybody as well. Thank you very much to Pick and Pay. Thank you very much to Pick and Pay Online for delivering all those boxes. And thank you for the Pick and Pay Wine Club. And especially thank you to Niederberg. I think it's been an incredible evening. We will be seeing you also at the Pick and Pay Wine and Food Festival, which is happening at the Kenilworth Racecourse on the 30th and the 1st, so the 30th of April and the 1st. We've got 44 different wine farms attending. We've got a tasting room. Niederberg will be there. Come down, get your tickets on Web Tickets. They are all available. It'd be great to see you. It's a really good event with lots of food, lots of wine, the showcase of Pick and Pay's finest food, finest wine. Niederberg, you will be involved there as well,
Yes.
Especially in the tasting room. So book your tickets early, please. But yeah, it's been an incredible experience, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. If you can try and save some of that wine to do another tasting tomorrow, try and do so. But if not, please
just enjoy.
Just enjoy and smash the bottle. But thank you very much. It was a great evening. Remember, guys, please do see what's inside your boxes as well, because Pick and Pay have also included some really great deals. Inside your box, you'll see that you've got a 100 Rand off voucher to use on Pick and Pay online as well. So you can do that on any wine, and you can buy any wine online and you get that 100 Rand off voucher, as well as also 25% off these 3 Niederberg wines as well. So make sure that you can go into store and get the 25% off voucher. But thank you very much. And yeah,
Thanks to you.
really appreciate it. It's been a great evening. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it as well. Please make sure that you do comment. We have also sent you a survey to let us know what you loved and what you didn't love, but hopefully you loved it all. And thank you very much. And over to you, Dan.
Thank you very much. A rousing virtual round of applause for our winemaker extraordinaire, Zinaschke and Jonathan. He just makes food look so easy. And I think he's given us each some terrific dishes in the company of some wonderful people. I've been jumping around. Andre van der Merwe, I would like to be at your house. It looks like there is an amazing party happening there at the moment. Bev and Alan, you look like you're having a pretty good night as well. And I also spotted Helen and Neville. I think the police might be around to shut that one down pretty soon. Looks like you guys are having a great night as well. So thank you to everybody. The Willis Holdings also having a good night out. Great to see you, Andrea, Joy. You've all just really enjoyed yourself, and I'm really glad to see that, because I love the celebration of food and wine that we get to have on these particular evenings, and a couple of you get to celebrate even more. So here we go. We have got our 5 winners. Each of you winning a magnum of Cabernet Sauvignon from Nederburg. So here we go. Danira Varma. Danira, I think you've been to every single one of these. You're a fantastic supporter, and thank you. So we're really excited to have a magnum of the Cabernet Sauvignon headed your way. Also, Neville Nicolau. Well done, Neville. Congratulations. Michelle van der Pfeiffer, Cindy van Lochenberg. And then we had the question. The question was, what is the biggest bottle you can get? Now, we were looking good for Marley to win with the 20-litre bottle called the Solomon, until Liz Ingram spotted that there was one better. It is a bottle called a Melchizedek, I think was a Babylonian king hundreds of years ago. And so you are our final winner. Liz Ingram, you've scored for yourself the fifth of those magnums. So well done to all of you who've won. But I'll be honest, I think everyone who's been part of tonight has won, because you got to drink some lovely wine. You've had some great company by the looks of things, and you've got to eat some wonderful food and also learn how to make it. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then please grab your diary and mark down the 12th of May. The 12th of May. That is our next one. I expect to see all of you there, as well as plenty more friends, as we celebrate the extraordinary South African wine offering that we have, and that Pick n Pay, through its commitment to getting 25 million bottles of South African wine onto shelves around the country through the year, is continuing to support and to highlight and to celebrate. And that leaves me really just to thank again Nederburg, a great team and some wonderful wine. Don't just keep trying the wine, and if you still have some left tomorrow, you'll see how it's opened up and how it's developed and how it's become a slightly different wine. Tried with some different foods as well. I had some red wine with some fish with a tomato crust the other day that worked really nicely. Play around, be adventurous. There is no such thing as a wrong pairing. It's simply what you like and what you enjoy. So keep going with that approach. Keep supporting South African wine. We hope to see you on the 12th of May, and hopefully we'll see you down at the Kenilworth Racecourse on the 30th of April and the 1st of May. I'll be down there as well with the Dan Really Likes Wine team, and we look forward to meeting you all, to drinking some great South African wine, meeting the winemakers, and having a really, really good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again on the 12th of May. Good night. Right.